because they're desperate to entertain. And so are we. Hey again, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Wheel of Albums. My brother Adam, our friend Jack, I am Justin. What we do here on Wheel of Albums is we spin a wheel of the 1001 albums you must hear before you die from Robert Dimer's book of the same title. We listen to that album at least 3 times during the week. We get back to you. We let you know if it really deserves to be on the list of 1001 albums you must hear before you die. This week, Cincinnati-based The National and their 2010 album, High Violet. Let's jump in.
All right, fellas, this week on the wheel, we get an old familiar album that I have heard many times from a band I absolutely adore, The National. Looking forward to kind of diving back into, from what I remember, a very solid 2010 indie album of theirs called High Violet. This time through, I'm making the commitment to try and understand what Matt Berninger, their lead vocalist, is singing about.
What's he getting at?
What is he singing about?
Will we ever know? Jack?
The Cowboys got the proverbial leg up on me because it's a band and an album I'm totally unfamiliar with. It's like they're old hands at this thing, and I'm child lost in the woods. The album is High Violet, probably in both Cowboys' wheelhouses, but I don't know if that always ends up being in my bag. We're going to find out today.
When I think of indie rock in 2010, I look back and think that's, wow, that was a year. I started a blog called Station to Station just so I could write about music, just because I wanted to do something different. And bands like Vampire Weekend, Arcade Fire, Deer Hunter, and The National were all bands that I wrote about and listened to around that time. My big challenge for me this week will be, does this still sound as good to me as it did 16 years earlier in my blog writing days?
Justin, you sent us a good article to kind of read up on High Violet. I kind of had to laugh where they said The National were always beginning. So High Violet is their 5th studio album. You know, they were always trying to figure things out as you listen through the first 4 albums. They really figured out their sound on their 4th album, Boxer, and then on High Violet, they're just soaring through the air. They've taken off. They've figured out the perfect formula of what The National is.
Yeah, and in hindsight, all these years, I always thought Boxer was their creme de la creme. You're right. In a lot of ways, they found a way to enhance the sound on Boxer and make it even more, what's the word I'm looking for? Full. And that's not the type Mr. T is talking about.
And it's funny because the rise that they had to figure out their sound reminds me a lot of REM's earlier career. National actually opened for REM in 2008. I gotta say, Matt Berninger's lyrics and the sound of The National remind me a lot of them trying to figure out things like Michael Stipe singing, for instance, right? Constantly trying to figure out, like, what is Michael Stipe trying to say? Berninger, same exact way. And then you get swept up in the other parts that they do, both bands do so well musically.
Now I'm going to correct that in pronunciation, and I can't go back and have him redo all these. It's Berninger is his last name. So if you're listening and you're a National fan, you're like, why does this guy keep saying Berninger? We will have a coming to with Adam over the summer, and it is Berninger. Jack, what was it that stuck out to you the most your first time listening to National?
What stands out to me after listening to High Violet by The National is the singer's tone. Not monotone, but just somber, dulling, progressive intonation of the singer. That's the thing that really captures me. And then occasionally, some of the songs made me think I was in for a rocker, but then they told me I was wrong.
Berninger's vocals are not as raw as they were on, I look back at Alligator and songs like Secret Meeting and Mr. November. Just the way that they progressed even from that album. He means business, but, you know, he never rises above a certain level to make you think it is a rock song. And I think that's kind of a special trick The National does.
My commitment that I was going to try to figure out what Matt Berninger's lyrics were all about kind of stopped halfway through Terrible Love, which is the opening song, because I just kind of realized that old Matty Boy was just kind of make me mad trying to figure out what he was talking about. So I just decided, you know what, I'm just going to let him do his thing. Matt, if you want to talk about Walking with Spiders, great.
When I was hoping I'd misheard some lyrics, I did not. I thought he was talking about living in Atlanta and not Lemon World.
You don't want to go into the rabbit hole?
I'll go to the rabbit hole if you want, Adam.
Fine. I was kind of say his quirkiness of his lyrics. I was afraid I'd eat your brains on Conversation 16, for instance. Or Weird, but he could sing just about anything with that baritone.
One of my favorite lines here, we'll play nuns versus priests until somebody cries. We've all played that before, right? Little faith.
These songs seem to be I would best describe them as minor situations of despair, but he's being overly dramatic. Late 20s, early 30s person eating some ice cream, and it plays because he's upset that maybe he should have gotten 2 scoops instead of 1. And that sin of gluttony is tearing at him.
All right, true, he is overdramatic, Jack, but I don't think I've ever thought of minor inconveniences when it comes to Matt Berninger. I've found that I like sorrow much more than I used to even 16 years ago. It might be the best blueprint for a national song. I think these songs deal not with depression or being down about stuff, but there's just songs about sadness. And the beauty in singing songs about sadness is something that the National does well. You know, like in the animated movie Inside Out, Sadness, the little blue character, this is her soundtrack. And we all love sadness.
After giving up on trying to figure out the songs, I noticed, man, the Nationals' production is kind of top-notch. I understand why they sound so in the pocket all the time.
Taking notes at home, the National produced this album themselves.
It's no wonder that Taylor Swift wanted to work with Aaron Dresner, because he certainly brings a good production and he can put the ribbon on a package for sure.
And he produced a lot of albums in the 2010s, including stuff for Frightened Rabbit. But he's most notable for his Taylor Swift work, which you can actually hear a little bit of the National in some of that music.
The end of the third listen, I kind of realized, and I'm going to stick with this, that the real force behind this band is the propulsive percussion that Brian Devendorf.
Adam is 1 for 3 in pronunciations. It's Devendorf.
He's kind of like the unsung hero of the band. He may not be flashy on the levels of John Bonham or Keith Moon, but he is the foundation of every song the National does.
I've got to agree with you 100%, Adam. His drum patterns are not rock music. What he's laying down is something that's totally different from any other band, and I think that he is definitely the heartbeat of this band.
But again, they stay in the pocket, right? So they don't ever go too high. The rest of the band certainly decorates that propulsive percussion well.
The songs that stuck out to me, but he seems to be focused a little bit on his own toplessness. Blood Buzz, he's talking about lifting his shirt just a smidge, just to give you a taste. Little navel peekaboo. And then again in Runaway, that time he's just taking the whole thing off and throwing it in the fire.
All right, Jack, let's hone in here. A little scenario time. Why don't you throw something at us?
Yum, 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 yum. Here's the situation. You've moved to New York City from Cincinnati for the Wall Street job. But even with a decent salary and a penthouse in the Upper West Side, things aren't going as planned. What song off of High Violet is playing in your soundtrack? I'm going to go with Anyone's Ghost.
Okay, I'm going to go with Lemon World.
Easily, I'm Afraid of Everyone.
I figure my necktie's loosened. I've poured myself some kind of drink. I prefer the light Russian, which I invented with a friend of mine, a low-calorie white Russian. The tie's undone. I sit down, I rub my head, and then just Anyone's Ghost comes creeping in. And the reason I pick Anyone's Ghost is this song makes me think of another song that I actually like, and that song would be Drugs Suck by Steve Jones. So I'm sitting down, I'm rubbing my head, I got the drink in front of me. Again, minor regrets. I'm successful, but not successful enough.
My character's just not getting along at his new job on Wall Street, so he does what many boys from the city do. They escape to the suburbs, and our character is going to Stamford, Connecticut, and the home of the Joneses. The Jones twins, sisters, and they own a swimming pool. And what a better thing to do than get out of the city and go to somebody's swimming pool in the suburbs. But things get a little devious there, you know, because it'll take a better word to kill a college man like our character. Go ahead and put on those bathing suits. Then we could say that we invented a summer-loving torture party. Again, this is ripe for a spin-off. I'm not sure who's playing the twins, but if we could turn back time and get Michael J. Fox to play the main character.
I think if things aren't going well, you're going to be afraid of everyone in New York. The song kind of makes you feel claustrophobic. It's got that driving propulsive percussion we talked about, but you feel claustrophobic a bit and that you're kind of living on the edge. And the line, I don't have the drugs to sort it out, can fit pretty nicely with anybody on the edge, maybe dealing with anxiety that would come with a job and living in the world of Wall Street. So I love that song, and that was the one I kept wanting to hear again and again and again, listening to High Violet this week.
And just as a follow-up, you know there's a crane shot when he's eating that ice cream and he's starting starting to feel bad. It's just pulling up, and this person becomes just one of many in despair. Boo-hoo.
Our overall ratings for High Violet: Adam giving it the highest score of an 8.36, I gave it a 7.82, and Jack a 4.72, for a final rating between the three of us of 6.969. And our three favorite songs: Blood Buzz, Ohio, number 2, Conversation 16, and number 3, England. Those are three really good songs. Our least favorite on here is Little Faith, Afraid of the House, Spend the Night with the Sinners. Should you listen to High Violet before you die? Touched on before, these are songs about sadness, and this was the band at their peak, I think, right around here. Trouble Will Find Me, Boxer. Those are three albums you should listen to by The National, in my opinion. It shows a time in indie rock where a lot of bands were doing a lot of good things. Unfortunately, by the time Sleep Well Beast came around, I was telling Adam, and they got rid of Devin Dorf's drums for more, computer glitches and mechanical beats. That's when I lost interest in The National. But this is a great pinpoint in time. It's the only album the whole band produced themselves. I love this album. It was great. Jack?
Must you walk with the spiders and proclaim you are evil before you die? I will tell you that you don't have to listen to this before you die. No. Again, nothing wrong with it, nothing spectacular about it, and a lot of overlap of just that intonation he uses throughout. Never really turns it up a notch to rock. Not my bag. My bag, as it turns out, probably is not very full, even after almost 3 seasons of Wheel of Albums.
I'm just going to get right to it and say you absolutely need to hear High Violet by The National before you die. It's an absolute yes for me. I don't think I scored a song on this album less than a 7. Afraid of Everyone, Blood Buzz, Ohio, and England all got 10s for me. I was surprised at how high I scored this. It's deserving, in my opinion. So I think this is the National album you give to someone to start them on their national journey. And I have to say that if you get the chance to see the National live, they're fantastic. The songs go to another level. And Jack, whatever you do, don't ask Justin about them not playing England when we saw them in 2017, because he was not a happy camper.
I mean, not playing England in concert, that's a sin. Unless it's a strictly acoustic show. And now I'm going to spin the wheel because it's my turn. Now, here's the part where we narrate the wheel spinning round. If you're watching visually, it's very exciting because we're almost there. And the next album is It's Low Life by New Order,
Where's the
1985 effort.
We're heading back to Manchester, guys. Where is the hyphen?
Interesting. I read that Stipe told the National to just go ahead and write a pop song, right? And you wonder if they would have listened to that advice, would it have thrown them into a higher level of stardom?
Okay, all of a sudden I have this vision of the National covering Shiny Happy People. Shiny Happy People holding hands. And then who can we get to take Kate Pearson's place? How about Fiona Apple? I like that. Yeah, we'll get her in there. And then the third part of the course, we just bring back in Mike Mills again.
In Blood Buzz, tossing it in Runaway. I'm successful, but not successful enough. How many good songs are there? What's your top 5 songs about eating brains? Conversation 16, and obviously Brain Eaters by the Misfits, but I'm sure there's some others out there. But there we go. We got 2 brain-eating songs right there off the bat.